So Pixar's been on a downfall recently. Really? So is most of Hollywood. For a long time, Pixar had the name of being the greatest film studio in the business that would always make a great film. The 15-year run from Toy Story in 1995 to Toy Story 3 is the best run that any studio has ever had. Not one, and I repeat, not one of the 11 films that they made in this period was a bad film. In fact, none of them were just good movies. They were all at least really, really good. But then, somehow, they came out with Cars 2, an absolute misfire. And they were not in great shape for a few years after that. But then, with Inside Out, things got a little better. And then, for a few years after that, things were looking good again. But then, they got worse. Pixar really needed a comeback. I had a lot of faith that Inside Out 2 would be that film. After all, it seemed logical that it would be. Inside Out lent itself to a sequel better than really any other Pixar film, as it is a story following a girl's life, and you could easily make movies about her when she's older. So did Pixar get this wrong and mess this one up, like so many Hollywood studios keep doing to so many famous properties? Or was this a rare occasion where a movie was done right? Well, it makes me very happy to say that not only is Inside Out 2 a good film, it is the comeback movie that Pixar needed. This film has saved Pixar. Let me explain. Hi all, I'm the Grinning Critic, and I love talking about movies with a grin. Luckily today, I can talk about Inside Out 2 with a huge grin on my face, as I wholeheartedly loved this movie. So Inside Out 2 follows 13-year-old Riley, who is growing up and experiencing puberty, and is trying to get onto a hockey team. Meanwhile, inside her head, we are greeted to a series of new emotions: anxiety, envy, embarrassment, ennui, and nostalgia. Now this is one of the best written movies I've seen in years. I was just in so much envy watching this movie and seeing how clever it was written. How does someone come up with such clever ideas? It's amazing. Everything. It just amazed me how clever this movie was. Now, one new idea that I absolutely loved was this idea of sense of self, these strings which represent Riley's core values. I thought it was really smart to introduce it in this film, because when people are younger, they're still working out what's right and what's wrong. So I think it was really smart that they only chose to bring in the sense of self in this film, because Riley's developed, she knows what good things are. And no spoilers, but I loved what they do with a sense of self at the end of the movie. Now, from a metaphorical sense, this movie rules. There's so many clever metaphors. So there's a scene where they visit this secret vault and you meet this dark secret character who's essentially represented as this scary character. And you never know what the secret is. I thought that was a really smart choice in the filmmaker's perspective, making the dark secret a villain. People make a dark secret the villain of their mind, so I thought it was really smart making the dark secret this villainous character. You also revisit Imagination Land. Loved how that had changed. It's a really good representation of how people's thinking changes over time. I also love the idea of the river of consciousness, which is this river that represents what Riley is thinking. Now, one thing I really appreciated about this movie was the movie's humour. And it's not funny in the way that many kids' movies nowadays are, relying on cheap toilet humour. But don't get me wrong, that can be done well, but it's often hard to do that well. This movie's funny to anyone of any age. There's this fantastic joke with this character called Bluefy, who is from this made-up show aimed for preschoolers that has a pouch called Pouchy. Anyone who has ever watched a show aimed at preschoolers will tell you how clever, funny, and accurate that depiction of Bluefy is. Now let's talk about the new emotions in this film. Anxiety, embarrassment, envy, ennui, and nostalgia. Anxiety seemed to me to be too much like fear, and the filmmakers do an excellent job of distinguishing between anxiety and fear. And I think this is a really useful movie in terms of understanding what our emotions exactly do. I really like what they do with anxiety, and I love the character treatment they give to her. I love her growth. I'm really not trying to get into spoilers here, but trust me, they do some excellent things with anxiety. Envy was also a great emotion. I love how the filmmakers chose to make envy short and really small. I thought that was an extremely intelligent choice that is going to be overlooked by a lot of people. Many young people envy taller people. They want to be taller, they want to have their own job. I thought it was really smart to make Envy short. Embarrassment was also an incredibly well-realized character. I love what they do with his character, and I love how he is communicated across through showing very little dialogue. It reflects the character of embarrassment, embarrassed to do anything. I love how he represented his emotions so well. All the emotions, really. They represented their emotions so well, and I really like that. Nostalgia was also a great character, even though Nostalgia's barely in the movie. June Squibb provides the perfect voice for this character, and I love how they don't actually introduce the character properly in the movie. The other emotions refuse to let Nostalgia into headquarters, as you don't really experience Nostalgia until you're a lot older. Let's talk about Ennui. Now, Ennui is a really fun character. It has a great scene at the end of the movie. But really, other than that one scene, the character was really poorly utilized. I really don't see why the character was included in the movie. It doesn't really make sense to me. Other than a few laughs, why? Other than the poorly utilized character of Ennui, I wholeheartedly loved this film. This, in my opinion, is the best Pixar film in years. It is the comeback that Pixar needed. I'm gonna give Inside Out 2 an A. Thanks for watching, and I'm the Grinning Critic, and don't forget to subscribe to me.